Hey guys, it's Rob, and I thought I'd just do a quick follow-up video just on this Kraft, which I bought originally in 1980, and just in the last few days I've managed to get it up and running again. The batteries in the radio, just after a few cycles, they came good, and I'm getting well over 4 hours endurance just from a full charge. It was actually 5 hours when the radio was new, so 33 years old, that's not too bad. But what I've been doing is just fixing up the receiver. There's the receiver, and one thing it needed was a new antenna, so I've managed to put that on, and I've conducted a range check with the new antenna, and it's solid reliability up to 600 meters. I didn't go any further because I just didn't have the time and the actual space when I did the range check, but 600 meters is good enough, I think. The servos. These servos are the Kraft KPS 20H servo, which you can see. Now, I was actually the first person in Australia to have these servos. They were the top of the line servos when they came out, and I remember when I bought this radio, the distributor said that I was actually the first person in Australia to order these servos. They were a ball bearing servo, and what I've done just over the last couple of hours is I have opened up these servos and I've centered them. These old radios, they didn't have any sub trim or any option for centering the servos. What you had to do is open up the servo, and inside there's a small potentiometer with two screws that hold it in position. You just have to loosen those screws and basically adjust it, rotate it slowly, and then you'll finally get your servo nicely centered. Now, as I said, I bought this radio in 1980. I was only 16 years old at the time, and the radio cost me $700, which had taken me over a year of saving my pocket money. So I actually wasn't game to open the servos at that time. So what I ended up doing, I was probably a little bit of a perfectionist back then, but what I did is I just methodically went through each of the servos and matched them to the different channels and found out which one was the closest to the center for each channel. So what I did back then was label each of the servos with aileron, rudder, elevator and throttle, because they were the ones that tended to match the actual channel position the best, but they were never perfectly centered. So anyway, what I've done just over the last hour and a half is just open up each servo, ensured that they were lubricated. The rudder servo was making a little bit of a gear train noise, but it's nice and smooth again. And I've also managed to make sure that every single servo is perfectly centered. So you can see just how smooth they are. There's the elevator, nicely centered. There's your aileron one, and again, that's nicely centered. The rudder, if you heard it before, it made a horrible screeching sound, but a little bit of lubrication has fixed that. And obviously the throttle. Just to give you an idea of the size of these servos, I've got a high-tech, a HS5485 HB, which is basically a standard size servo now. So you can see the two side by side. Yeah, the old Kraft is a lot more substantial and a lot heavier. I think they weigh about 60 grams each from memory, and I do still remember the specs, would you believe, because I was just researching my purchase in so much detail when I was just 15 years old. But these servos have 3 kilograms of torque, and they're 0.20 of a second speed, so not that powerful compared to today's technology. This high-tech servo is a lot faster and a lot more powerful. And just by comparison, there is a HS65MG mini servo. So yeah, there's a big difference in the technology. Now, a couple of things I actually had forgotten about with this radio, and I do think there's some good features that could probably utilise in today's radios, but there's a small plastic flap here, which I don't know if you can see, but what it does is when you actually plug in a servo, for example, there's one of the, that's the rudder servo. When I plug that in, this little flap clicks down and holds it in position, so there's absolutely no way that those plugs are actually going to fall out. And a couple of other things that I'd forgotten about as well, and I don't remember if any other radios ever had this feature, but one thing I think is quite good, if you just have a look here, you'll see that the radio is showing the transmitter voltage there, so it's just about, what is it? That's over 9.6 volts. I'm not sure if you can actually see that. There it is there. But there was a really neat feature with this radio, and just by the way, I've managed to get the actual original flight pack up and charged, so that's the one I'm using, and that's the original switch, which came with an external charge port which you stick on the side of your aeroplane. But one of the really neat features, I'll just turn this off and turn off the transmitter, is it also came with this little cable which you plug one end into the charge receptacle that is in the side of the aeroplane. So basically plug that in there, and then plug this one into the bottom of the transmitter, and what it's going to do is it's going to give you your flight pack voltage. So you could actually check the voltage. I don't know if you can see that there, but that's showing the voltage of the flight pack. You see the radio's turned off and it's showing what is it, about 4.8 volts. So yeah, that was a really neat feature. I remember I used that a couple of times when you're flying with this old NiCad pack. It was only 500 milliamps, not a great deal of capacity, but you could check the actual voltage of the flight pack just with this attachment cable. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the way this radio has been coming back to life, and what I think I'll do is I'll try and go and find some old aeroplane, try and find something online and fit it out with this radio, with these servos, all the original packs, and see how they go. Thanks for watching.